I have ownership in 11, but we have a portfolio of 32. $12,000 6 or 7 week check that I got, and that was my mortgage for the year. And then that's when the light bulb went off, and I'm like, I don't care how, I'm gonna get as many of these as I can. People are getting crazy with these designs. I'm seeing $100,000 backyards. So we actually ended up having to call the cops on them. As soon as the cops came and broke it up, dude, they started throwing a party again, and they were partying at like 4 a.m. I remember waking up and having to deal with this.
Welcome back to another episode of the Austin Zaback Show. Today we have a very good friend of mine, and this is actually a gentleman that has already been on this show, but it was so long ago that maybe you don't remember him, and maybe you do, and you remember hearing how incredible his story was. This is George Mevawala, and George actually owns, I think, like 30 or 40 Airbnbs now. And man, you're balling out too. You've got, I love the Airbnb thing. I feel like stands out the most with you. I know you've won a bunch of awards, and you got like, I don't know, the what's the realtor award?
The SAR, 40 under 40 award.
40 under 40,
yes.
right? Which I haven't even won that yet, so you have to give me advice on how to win that after. But man, dude, the Airbnb thing is obviously a huge accomplishment, and
Thank you.
You're the first guy I actually think. I mean, I've had a couple of people on that have done like 2 or 3 Airbnbs, you know, but when I think of Airbnb, I think of you, right?
Okay, thank
you. So you're the guy, bro. And I want to spend at least half of today talking about Airbnb and how you got to where you're at, and if Airbnb is still a viable, thing for people. Like,
absolutely.
There's a lot of people out there right now, brother. Like, it's saturated.
Yep.
And I'm sure you have something to say about that, right?
Totally, man. First and foremost, once again, thank you so much for having me. It is an honor. You are one of the GOATs out here, as we all know. And I'm dude, it's such good energy always being around you when we chop it up, man. So
I appreciate
thank
that, bro.
you for having me.
Of course, dude. It is my honor and my pleasure. Now we got a real set.
I know. Dude,
I'm embarrassed to show people the last one we did. I'm surprised you even came on. You must have just liked me because
it was still nice though, man. That's the perfectionist in you that I love. That was still. Most people would still strive to have that one, and who doesn't like being in the Optima?
Yeah. Right. I sit in this one now, and I'm like, man, dude, we got to friggin' get to the next one already. You know, like man. I'm ready for the next one. You know?
Yes, sir.
Yeah,
absolutely.
I love it, bro. And then we'll have you in that one too.
Yes.
So we'll give it like a year. By that time, you'll own 150 Airbnbs. You know.
Totally.
But hey, George, for people who don't know you. Maybe they're just hearing about you for the first time. Sure. They're watching, they're listening. Obviously, we're going to jump into all that here in a little while, and we're going to have a ton of fun talking about it. But give me a little bit of backstory on where you came from. Like, how did you get into real estate?
Sure, absolutely. Well, first and foremost, I went to Arizona State University, and I graduated from there kind of in the beginning of what I call the Real Recession back in 2010.
The real one.
You kind of get that umbilical cord cut when you're out of college, and you got to find a job. Everybody, naturally. I went into commercial real estate. I interned for this company called American Spectrum Realty in Newport Beach. It was a REIT, which for anyone that doesn't know what that means, it's a real estate investment trust. And I was kind of on the verge of like interested in commercial real estate. I'd always, liked it, but didn't really understand it. Somehow I kind of found a leg in commercial property management, asset management side. I've always been good with, spreadsheets, numbers, and so I kind of worked in that way. Found my way in commercial real estate, found a job working for them right out of college. That property actually went into receivership because this is in the peak of, so I'm a little on-site property manager sitting there, and someone just kind of comes in, gives this letter and says, we are now taking your property. You need to leave. Guys, I'm 22 at the time. Wow. I just got my first iPhone. I didn't really even know what to say or do. Called headquarters in Newport. They said, just comply. Long story short, the owner of that building had not been paying his mortgage for several months. Well, at that time, properties left and right were residential and commercial were getting, taken back by the bank. So I lost my job, had to go back to square one. I mean, I remember applying for everything in the Valley. I was living at The View at the time. Anyone from the OG days know?
I don't think I remember The View. Where was that at?
So The View was on Apache and
Tempe.
It's Tempe.
Okay.
It was kind of like a popular place that people like to party and live. It was a very popular for, young, people in fraternity and anyone in ASU that liked to party. It's kind of like The View Pool, and they spelled it VUE. So I remember putting on this suit so many times and going to interviews. One of my roommates didn't know I was in there talking to my other roommates about, man, George sure has for as many times as George put that on, he can't find a gig, laughing. And that did something in my head, guys, where I was like, these are my boys, right? And I'm like, I'm going to find a job. Well, I managed to find another local outlet called Hene Realty Advisors. Shout out Tyler Hene, that gave me a chance as his intern. I remember making $28,000 and was going to pay for my real estate license. Yeah. And so I went on board, got my real estate license, decided I'm going to go into commercial real estate. So long story short, to kind of fast forward, I was in commercial real estate for about 6.5 years, learning the ropes when I started kind of getting my feet into this whole short-term rental model. Mm-hmm. I had a good friend of mine that would rent his, Maya condominiums?
Yeah.
So for those of you who don't know Maya, it's kind of one of the only complexes in Old Town that allows short-term rentals, walking distance from the entertainment district where the bars are at. And my buddy Kyle Walters would rent his primary, one of his units. He had 3 at the time, and he picked these up when they were like 80 to 120. And he'd rent it out and come stay with me for 3 months of the year. And I remember one time stumbling in his room just to see if he wanted to go work out or something. And this is before kind of Airbnb was popping off. This is kind of, we were all using VRBO, Vacation Rental by Owner, and a couple other platforms. I look on his desk and there's like 20 checks. And I'm like, what the heck? I look at them and I'm like, dude, what are all those checks for? When I saw him later, he's like, oh, that's for my Airbnb. He's like, that's for my short-term rentals. And I'm like, dude, you're making like $5,000 or $6,000 a month per door. He's like, I was like, yeah. And I'm like, these are when they were like 100K, right? So I'm like, dude, you're rich. At the time, This is like 2013. I'm like, dude, 2014 maybe. I was like, bro, you're killing it. And I'm like, they just started building the Cubs Stadium across from where I live, Villaggio, my primary that time. And I think it was right when a girlfriend had left and I had 2 open rooms. And I'm like, I'm going to rent this out for the Cubs Stadium once it's ready. It got finished. I rented it out. Happened to be one of my first guests was a professional baseball player. I name drop it. No, Chris Bryant.
Okay.
And he stayed at my place, and dude, I think it was like a $12,000 or $11,000 or $12,000 6 or 7 week check that I got, and that was my mortgage for the year. And then that's when the light bulb went off, and I'm like, I don't care how, I'm gonna get as many of these as I can, whether buying, managing, partnering. And that was kind of from that point on, I strived to make that my goal. Wow. That was kind of the introduction to the short-term rental to me, to kind of lead to a fight with my boss at my last job when I was in commercial. I wasn't getting treated very well. I was trying to, on my lunch break and stuff. You know how we can, in real estate, we're always on the go. I was using my lunch break and stuff. I was not abusing my time, to clarify, but on my lunch break, I'd go look at like a Sunscape unit or something. And word got back that I was kind of trying to do my own thing, really just to help build some side income. I wasn't trying to leave them or be deceiving. And my boss yelled at me one day in front of my whole entire team. And then that day I decided, you know what, screw this. We kind of clapped back and I left.
Yeah.
I really got fired. I'll admit it. I got fired. But at that point, dude, I was carrying my little box to my car with like $5,000 to my name. I was like, F this, dude. I'm going all in on the short-term rentals.
Wow.
So that was kind of the official leading into late 2016 being my official going all in, hanging my license with my current brokerage dwellings and just kind of being like, it was kind of like I picked up and found this group of like really chill, awesome guys from Ohio. And I went with them and they're like, yeah, dude, you can hang your license here. It's kind of like you are what you eat. And I was like determined that like, I'm going to make these guys proud and I'm going to invest in as many investment short-term rental properties as I can, and I'm going to help people find properties. And that became my new mission. I was like, all right, that's it. You are going to be an investor. You're going to be a great buyer's agent. You're going to be a great realtor, and you're going to be one of those people that wants to help people. I really just wanted to help people get their own investments. So that was kind of my transitioning into residential, which ever since then, it's like real estate's my sport, man. I know some people are good at basketball. I try to. Football. Yeah. People like to work out. People like pickleball. Real estate's my pickleball.
I love that, bro.
I went all in on it. And I mean, I remember I didn't have anything to lose. And I think that's that stepping point that any entrepreneur, anyone that wants to go into real estate, we know every Tom, Dick, and Harry thinks that real estate's going to be their big break. But unless you're really ready to go 70 hours a week, no sleep, no money for months, all in, gamble everything into it, you might want to stick at that job. And I only say that with love, that this is one of those things that you can't do real estate part-time.
Hey, real quick, I just want you to do me a huge favor. If you're enjoying the show and you're enjoying all the amazing guests that we've been having on lately, then do me a massive favor and smash the like button, drop a comment down below, and subscribe if you have not already. I would greatly appreciate it. It would mean the world to me, and we will be able to bring on a lot more big names if you help us out. Now let's get back to the show.
We're all in or nothing.
Yeah.
That's my take on it. And if you really want to be one of the top agents or top people in it, everyone can invest in it and be a passive investor. But to really be a thriving agent, I think what I've learned is that I remember all those beginning first 3 years, 4 years, it's still a grind, but those really grinds, showing 30 homes for someone to ghost you, really taking on stressful situations, answering phones at 10 p.m. I had a escrow fall out of contract the other day, unfortunately, and I was on the phone with my lender and my client who lives in California, but he was in Florida at the time for vacation. We were three-way talking till like 11 p.m. and it didn't end there. We still had to get our Benzer in before midnight.
Yeah.
So, you're going to put the time in, but it's very rewarding. Very rewarding if you're willing to sacrifice the time. And so I knew I was immediately hooked on A, finding properties for myself, but then B, once I started getting inquired from, people from my network from college and, just reaching out being like, whoa, that Airbnb you're posting on Instagram, what the heck is that? I want one. And then I started helping them as a buyer's agent
Which is super cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. How many Airbnbs do you break down your portfolio right now, right? So because obviously do you own all of them? Do you manage some of them for other people? Do you how does the breakdown
absolutely look? No. So right now I have ownership in 11, but we have a portfolio of 32. We had gotten up to 37, but I let some go, and I still, right now, like we were talking about earlier, I'm really more focused on quality than quantity. With this market now getting more saturated, which we can dive into, there are some new rules with the city. Now you are required to have a permit. We can get into that as well, kind of the whole process of how to register the short-term rental and all that. I really decided there were some accounts that I just some dead weight that I just needed to get rid of.
Yeah.
Really that, they were profitable, but they weren't meeting my goals long term. And so now I'm really more focused on acquiring really strong properties I want to keep the longevity, which kind of transitioning more into the last 3 properties I bought have been single family homes, which I've turned into more kind of the resort style properties. But next up is that luxury play. That's I've helped a couple clients get some real awesome luxury properties recently that have really turned on that desire. But I really, really like 4-bedroom and 5-bedroom, 3-bath homes with heated pools throughout Scottsdale. That's kind of my new cup of tea.
Yep.
Those I think are the bread and butter. I still love the little machine condos and townhouses, but I think I've kind of outgrown that. That was kind of that was the first phase of George. Now this new phase is with Scottsdale growing to what it's becoming, in my opinion, which is going to be something that Vegas and San Diego and Miami had a child named it Scottsdale. It's going to grow into this new city that everyone knows about in the next 10 years, something that no one can deny.
Yep.
As we know with looking at Tempe and just how much growth we've seen, I want to acquire properties that are strategically located that I know in the long term are going to keep continuing to appreciate, but also everyone wants to stay at.
Yep. I love that, dude. That's awesome. Yeah, and just to be clear, the is every single property in Scottsdale? Are they all in Arizona? I guess it's the first question.
Yes, they are. We got one in Flagstaff, but we decided we were about to fire it up, and then we decided we wanted to just keep it. But I'm about to test out a new build there that I just actually put under contract. It should be it should be built. It should be ready to go by probably October.
Okay.
That's going to be my first Flagstaff one on board. And we're looking in Florida and a couple other markets to just get things, but the right opportunity hasn't come up yet.
Yeah. Well, and you don't probably know the market as well, right? I mean,
correct. And the problem with Florida was I almost moved on one in Tampa, but then they had that real bad storm last year, and it scared the crap out of me. I have a client that has 24 long-term rentals, new builds that he just built in Florida, and like half of his roofs got messed up, and bunch of stuff, and he had, it just kind of scared me away. I'm like, why don't you stick to what you know?
Yep.
And I'm so bullish on Scottsdale in the long run, Phoenix as a whole. I love this city so much, and I'm like, I like the ability, even with my systems in place, to be able to drive to any of them within 30 minutes.
Yeah, I love that, dude. Yeah. You know, Zachary Keeps on the show a while back. Are you familiar?
Yes, I am.
Okay.
Yeah, yep.
And at the time when I had him on the show, I think he owns 236 long term. And of the 236, and don't quote me on this, but I want to say that 50% of his portfolio he owns free and clear. Again, don't quote me on that. At least 100 he owned free and clear.
Okay.
And then the other 50% or whatever, he owed like 20%. Like his debt or his
incredible.
It was just incredible, right? And so man, I like looking at that and then looking at what you've built, and I'm the same way, dude. Like I was born and raised in Arizona. Obviously, I'm biased, right?
Right.
Right.
Obviously.
Are you a native?
I'm actually from Texas.
You're from
originally.
Texas?
Yeah.
How long have you been here?
I have been here since 2006.
Okay.
So I consider myself a native. I think it's after 10 years you're considered a native.
Yeah.
But yeah, I fell in love with this place the second I stepped on Palm Walk.
Yeah. So I'm totally bullish too. And there's so many different directions I want to go. There's a lot of things I want to cover, a lot of ground I want to cover here.
Yes, I'm excited.
And I'm excited for people watching and listening. This is going to be a really cool episode, I think. Talk to me. I guess the first question I have is they rolled out in Scottsdale, right?
Yes.
They rolled out this new permit thing, okay?
Yes.
And
the infamous permit.
what I don't own an Airbnb.
Okay.
I've never done one.
Sure.
I've sold a lot of freaking real estate, bro. But
you have, yeah.
and I don't even like saying that out loud because I wish I did own one.
Dude, let's get you one. Let's partner up.
Dude, I'd love to partner.
Let's get
up,
one.
bro.
I'm dead serious, man. I think that was actually another thing I had in mind for us ever since. I know we've been talking about it. We've been sending over, inquiring about deals, talking about deals for a while. But I'd love to partner up with you one, and maybe even this luxury one.
Yep.
But the permit, which was just issued, I believe, in November of 2022. I know some of my clients and a lot of people reached out as soon as it happened. Really, it's just another way for the city to kind of, A, to make a little bit more bucks. It's like $250.
Mm-hmm.
B, to kind of monitor. So what was happening is you get a lot of investors out here in Arizona, as we know. We get a lot of people from Canada, from the Northwest, from the Northeast. A lot of people were kind of buying these and handing these over to the wrong management groups that were allowing 1-night minimums. That's how these events started, these parties, these everything's. Right now, the city doesn't even allow less than, it has to be a minimum 2-night bookings. Yeah. Because the 1-night minimums, what's happening is these local kids from all these high schools and groups and people were throwing parties. And it was getting into the hands of the wrong people. Naturally, you don't want people to book your property and then all of a sudden you find out from your Ring doorbell or from your neighbors that they have 35 people there, partying, smoking marijuana, God knows what else they're doing in there, putting out cigarettes on your couches. Man, that's a fun one.
But clearly you've been there.
Yes, I have. But so really, I actually look at the permit as a good thing. I actually like that. Really, it's kind of like, it's super easy to get. It takes 10 minutes. You have to have what's known as a TPT, which is a tax license, which is you apply for that. Then you get your permit. It's a 2-step. Right now, because the city was kind of backed up, some people are just getting it, which applied months ago. I've gotten all mine, except for one I'm waiting on. And they're kind of, you just need to apply, get it, register your emergency contact. They want to make sure you're not a sex offender, you don't have any serious felonies, or you need to disclose to your neighbors if they let you have one. A few other questions and stuff. It's really just to make sure that if they come knocking, those police at 2 a.m., they know who to call. Because if they don't have someone to call, those people that are in there could be a real problem. And it helps also with the system of, neighbors, they know who the contact could be. Because what they were doing is they were calling Airbnb behind, and then Airbnb would call the host, and then the host was getting in trouble for people staying at their property, which they didn't know were throwing parties. So this whole system, we needed to come up with some type of a solution. Exactly. So really, I haven't had any issues, and I've had, minus a few Karens in the past that, I get it. There are people that just hate the idea of living next to short-term rentals. But we have a really good system with kind of eliminating it. Dude, I've only had 2 parties in 4 years.
Wow. At all of your Airbnbs
all
combined.
of my Airbnbs.
32.
And now, don't get me mind, we've had a few groups that have gotten a little rowdy.
Yep.
But
not a full blown.
Yeah. Most people are harmless. They're coming into town. Say guys' golf trip, girls' bachelorette parties are huge. I think we're still right behind Nashville for the most to come out here.
I had the Bachelor or the Bachelor guy. He throws all the bachelorette parties.
Okay.
He's like,
yes, did he start that? He started that company, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
What's it called? Bachelorettecom or something like that?
Yep,
I don't know.
It's then he could come up with an
Scottsdale
app.
Bachelorette.
Okay, yes.
That's it.
Yes.
Yeah, I had him on the show.
Sweet. Yeah, I got to listen to that one.
Dude, you got to, bro. And you should probably partner
reach
with
out.
him.
We should totally.
I've got all his contact information, but he basically, they go in and they set everything up for these girls to come in.
Okay.
So they do all the event coordination. Like, it's actually pretty cool, dude. They're man, I forget the numbers. Jacob probably wouldn't remember either if I don't remember. But dude, he's doing 7 figures a year just doing these bachelorette parties.
That's incredible, dude.
Just an Airbnb host, and he's got relationships with the hosts and the management companies.
I'd love to link up with him. Yeah, no, that's because there's also, have you heard of, I think it's called Girl, we've talked through DM, they want to come and do something at one of my properties, Girls Around Town.
I think I have.
There might be the girl, like this version of that, but a competitor of his, or just kind of doing the same thing.
Yeah.
They're pretty cool too. They do some design stuff, like fill up the fridges. Now I think they do even help set up proposals and stuff. So
super
cool.
cool.
I just love all these small this is what I love about Arizona, man.
Yeah.
It really lets the small guy have a shot. And that's me, dude. I was a small guy. I was a nobody. And I just love the ability to interact with all these amazing people where you don't really see that. And you know what sucks about where I'm from in Texas? Property taxes kill the deal on everything. We had a couple small family duplexes when I was younger, and we had a vacation home in Galveston, Texas, which got blown away in a hurricane. Rest in peace to that house. Nothing ever penciled. It was always a hope to break even and just pay down your mortgage play. We're so blessed out here in Arizona to have these ability, low property taxes, properties that heavily appreciate, and the short-term rental model, mid-level rentals, and even long-term rentals. Rents have gotten high where, you're not, obviously with these interest rates, you're not killing it, but you could still cash flow.
Sure. Walk me through the numbers of one of your favorite Airbnb deals.
Okay. So let's say,
pick a deal. If you had to pick a deal of one of the ones maybe even that you have ownership in.
Okay, sure.
What deal do you love?
Let's use 87th Way. I bought it about 2 years ago. It's an Old Town Scottsdale house. I picked it up for $635, put 20% down. I think I managed, it was an open door owned property. I think I managed to get 1 or 2% back on my closing costs. Then it cost me about $25,000 sprucing up, doing some stuff to get it ready, shower glass, painting.
It was already renovated.
It was mostly renovated. Believe it or not, it had this is two, it's a single family home with this kind of, how I know quirky houses do really well. It had this back detached second room in the back, that upstairs, which I've turned into entertainment room. I wish it had a bathroom. That's something I'm kind of analyzing, but the plumbing is just too expensive. But I knew with that back room, I'm like, all right, it's a 4-2 with a back up room above the pool. I'm like, this will be a hit. So it took me about probably about $30,000 to furnish it. And first year it grossed $94,000.
Wow. When did you buy it?
I bought it in early 2021.
Oh wow! So recently.
So 2 year. It's a 2 year mark. And my first year I did $94,000 in gross. Okay. And I ended up netting on that year one about $44,000.
Wow.
Which was about self-managing. I want to say it was about a 28 or 30% annual cash on cash. And dude, this spring with the Super Bowl and everything, we can get into that infamous article going around too that everyone's talking about how no Airbnb's booked. Well, we actually were at 92% occupancy that weekend, but we been crushing it this spring, man. Like I'm pretty solid booked out till May, June right now, which is a good sign on most. Some of the strags have some April still open, but they kind of turn more into like hotels where they just book as you go. That's like my biggest thing when people ask me, they're like, why am I not booked out till July? I'm like, dude, you got to understand, spring is our busy season, winter is our second busiest season. We're going to turn more into like book as you go type mode on a lot of them. And you'd be amazed, like you might have no booking and be kind of like, what the hell? I have vacancy coming up in 2 weeks. Then you get that last minute booking and you're like, all right, then another one comes in. Really just depends on what you are. And I kind of do a good little mix of like Some we do minimum 3-night stays. Some of the condos I like to do the 31-day stays. Then I'll change it up. Like, for example, we'll do the busier 31-day stays during the slower season. Get some good traveling nurses, some corporate, but then we'll do the shorter stays during the busy season to ultimately gross the most. But yeah, so that this is me. Sorry for trailing.
No, you're
back
good.
to that.
Really quick, if you're a real estate agent in the state of Arizona and you're looking to join a phenomenal team, then I would love to have a conversation with you. If you're looking for an incredible culture, you're looking for lead generation, you're looking for transaction coordination, then I would love to have a conversation and see if you would be a great fit for our team, okay? So again, if you're an agent in the state of Arizona, make sure you text the number 480-418-5339, the word agent, okay? Again, 480-418-5339, the word agent. Now let's go ahead and get back to the show.
That sample deal, that is kind of the, granted that house that I picked up for 630 or whatever it was, it's now probably worth closer to 8.
Yep.
Even with the pullback, maybe 750, 775 with the pullback. I still try and find deals like that for myself and clients. I want that cash on cash.
That's 85251.
85257. So
Okay.
Thomas in the 101, yeah. It's in was it Pimo Meadows?
Yeah.
So it's a great little South Scott. It's just, what the funniest part about it is when I analyzed it at first, I thought the lots might be a little bit too small because they're kind of closer. Dude, my neighbors are so awesome. When I pulled up there not that long ago, one of their kids were out. She gave me your Tesla. Let them take a picture. Got their numbers. Biggest thing is just making sure your neighbors are happy.
Yeah.
I like to go by all of them. I try once a month. Now it's pretty close, but I have amazing maids that help integrate into all my system. Send us pictures, emails if there's anything. Biggest thing that you'll find, and we can get into this too if this is another topic, is kind of like broken stools or things like lay chairs in the back that get worn up from the weather, knocked over umbrellas, those types of things, propane that runs out. You need to automate those types of things for the grills and that aren't gas. But yeah, man, it's crazy how I look back on that deal, and that's, some of them don't have as high as annual cash to cash, especially now. Now, even for clients, especially ones that might need a manager in place that want to be hands off, we're looking for anything that's north of a 12% annual cash on cash.
Wow.
Which still really will beat, okay, I don't need to talk about my shame of Bitcoin.
Right.
But, any of the things like the stock market, anything. I still like to think that real estate and the longevity wins.
I think it does every time, right?
Totally.
I think that if you're in a market like Arizona, and there's other markets obviously throughout the country, but you're in a market where with great confidence you could say, like you say, in a decade, properties are going to appreciate massively, right?
Totally.
Even if we had a major pullback tomorrow, in a decade we're going to win, right?
Absolutely.
Period. So, I mean, had you bought in the peak of 2008, right?
Yes.
And you held, you would be up significantly.
Man. You're up.
Right? So it's all about just buy and hold, right?
Totally.
And so I think you can't beat real estate. It isn't to say you should take 100% of your money and put it in real estate, right?
Right.
But I do think that real estate should be a very large part of anybody's portfolio, right?
Totally.
And
absolutely.
You have to have exposure to real estate. Like if I see a lot of the young generation. I think they just have exposure to the stock market.
Yeah.
They just have exposure to Bitcoin. They just have exposure to Tesla and
Totally.
it's like, that's great, right? And I think Tesla's going to be worth $500 by 2025, right?
Absolutely.
But real estate, man, you can't forget about real estate.
Right. And not to mention, a lot of people don't realize this too, but from an investor standpoint, I have one, I guess if we want to talk about my dud, my one, I'm not most proud of. I bought a house in Phoenix, and it was actually at the peak last February. Paid $40,000 over to get it, waived my appraisal, waived my inspection. Dude, me and my girlfriend, we pumped so much capital to and I let her really amp up this design. It's called Turquoise Palm. I love this house. I'm in love with it. I don't think I'm going to sell it. It's still, we're about to be at our 1 year marker of being live, which is May. It's still going to end up grossing about $74,000, which self-managing it, I'm netting about $22,000. My mortgage is a little bit higher, and because it didn't turn out to be as desirable of a location in Phoenix. Shane 51.
Shane 51, okay.
It's in this real cool mid-century modern neighborhood.
Is it east or west of the 51?
It's east.
Okay.
Yeah, so I mean, but it's still okay. So it ended up being kind of like better than a break-even play. But what we forget about too is we're paying these mortgages down. That's still a win in itself, and the write-offs is what I was trying to get. My point we're at is that this is helping me.
Yeah.
You know, even if let's say you're not crushing it off the cash flow, you could still write off so many elements of that investment, and that helps with your taxes. Everybody. So this property, if it would have been in Scottsdale, it'd be grossing $120,000 a year. It's grossing in the low 70s. But dude, we're still booking. We're still covering our net. I'm still cash flowing probably about $1,500 a month off of it. You know, for a $200,000 to $240,000 investment, it's not that great, but it's also not that bad. It still beats these high money interest rate, even though I'm happy that we can get 4% now. But I mean, it's for my mind, I'm like, I'm not selling it because I'm looking at one day. I think there's houses in the neighborhood trading for about 1.1 that are a little bit bigger. I paid $760, probably pumped 100 into it. I still look at the longevity of, like, I could sell it for the appreciation. The cash flow is decent right now, but it's like that thing's gonna be paid off one day.
Yeah.
That we forget sometimes as investors, and sometimes I get a little obsessive and OCD on the fact that, you know, these isn't 2015,
Right.
2016 when I was getting things 65% less than they are now.
Yep.
And that I have to check myself on. I love that house. I could move into that house tomorrow if I needed to. I think I'm going to keep it, but it is probably my personal investment, the least successful one. And I still like to bring that up. Even I bring it up to my clients. They ask me all the time, what do you think about Phoenix? What do you think about Phoenix? What do you think about Gilbert? What do you think about Chandler? I'm like, guys, in the long term, you'll win. Scottsdale is obviously my number one choice. I highly recommend it. But you can branch out to these other areas. I have a client that's $175,000 a year, his Cave Creek property. Granted, it's an amazing resort type property, but I remember us first analyzing that might be a little bit too north up there, you know, a little bit too far away from Old Town or this or that. It's all about, we all have to take these risks to see what happens, you know?
When you were furnishing, I want to go back for a second.
Sure.
When you said you furnished the 85257 properties, that's a 4-bed or 3-bed?
That's a 4-bed, yeah.
4-bed. You said you furnished it for 30 or 35?
Yes.
What is the average, like, for me, just trying to understand, how much does it cost on average? Is that about the average to furnish an Airbnb, or does it?
For a 4-bedroom, because of the outdoor, you know, there's a lot of things that you can get by on, but once you do the TVs, all the decor can get really expensive. Like little things that you need for kitchen, stuff like that, comforters, all that stuff. I would say for a 4-bedroom house, you could probably squeeze by with around 25. But if you have an entertainment room, I think pool table, arcade games, poker tape, stuff like that, you can get. That's kind of why I would say probably average with inflation, everything right now, right around 30.
I almost think, like, I guess my mentality on it was that it would be more.
Well, that's the thing. People get, and if you go on, and this is another big thing I kind of wanted to talk about. We got to give our city props here and a lot of these investors, even people that I don't know. I'm on Airbnb all the time looking at the competition, really just to see what's out there. People are getting crazy with these designs.
Ridiculous.
Dude, I'm seeing $100,000 backyards, mind you, just on the design. I look at some of these and I'm like, how are they going to ever make this back? But I get it. They're able to get the higher rates. Me, I don't like to I like to kind of find that middle ground balance of, you know, you don't get the Z Gallery, you get the living spaces. You don't get, you don't put $100,000 in the backyard. You put like 15. You find that amount that's going to make the guests just comfortable, get you a great review. It's not going to kill your bank. Because I know some of these homes, people are really, really, really coming hard, but they are coming original. I will give them that, which I do respect. But I always wonder on their pro formas, it might take a little bit longer to get that back. And also, if you ever need to dump it, you know, you're not getting that $200K back you put in that backyard.
No, not at all.
As we both know.
Do you think they're just doing that to try to beat what they think the competition is because they've heard it's so saturated?
Yes, I think so. And I think also we still have so much money coming in here that some people still, even in their mind, even if they're going to use it, as some of them, a lot of people, it's a secondary, or, you know, they'll use it when they're there. They want to show off to their friends and stuff too. They want to make it seem like they have the best property in Scottsdale for their own flex, but also just for the competition.
Sure, yeah.
And so I do respect it, but I also think that every day I'm seeing new ones, and that's testing us. And I really pushed that on to my girlfriend for designs. I'm like, hey, we got to find ways to get this, but we got to be competitive in pricing.
Sure. Yeah. How difficult is it to find Airbnb properties? Like, do you typically find them on market or off market?
It's a little bit of both, but like the little condo that I bought last month, Little Maya, it was an old client of mine that wanted to sell it. And it's kind of funny because I was just kind of like, what you want for it? And we worked out a deal that still made him like $70K off of owning it for 2 years. And I got a good deal on it still too, a little bit under market value. And I'm actually just wrapping that one up. We're going live on that in a week. And that's
Where's that one at?
That's a Maya. It was a real easy little 1-1 opportunity. I could flip that and make 60K, but we both know the longevity of it is hold it. I painted, put new baseboards in, shower glass, and new light fixtures.
Okay.
That's all I did to it, and then I furnished it. And that one actually we're wrapping up. I have the new numbers on a 1-bedroom condo because last time I had done a 1-bedroom, I think was 2019 or 2020 was the last one I bought because I've been doing houses. I'm right at about 8,500.
Okay.
I remember I budgeted 6, but I was a little off. Dude, I forgot how much decor is. You want to get the cool, all that stuff, TVs, everything. Killer is backyard furniture. You cannot find that stuff cheap, man. I mean, dude, you can get lay chairs alone that are $500 a pop. And so those are the types of things that we go through our wholesalers, Amazon, our plugs. Like I have an awesome mattress plug. I go through all these and I try and really crunch numbers. Even for when clients buy, I have a checklist I like to give them. And I'm like, from the beginning, what we need to get through, the escrow side, but then from the design side too, just for using me as their buyer's agent. That's all free. And then to the point now where if you want me to design it, we'll do that for a fee. I remember, shout out to one of my first clients that when I did his first 2 houses for free, dude, we learned
you don't do that anymore.
No, he finessed me. Shout out Paul. He's such a great guy, but he was my first guy to buy single family homes. Somehow he decided to send all the furniture. Dude, we're over there like packing our cars, moving stuff, assembling. I had like my handyman come help me. But like me and my girlfriend were at these houses till like 2 a.m. trying to get them ready. But these were this is back in like 2018 when I first started getting the homes. But I was so excited.
Yeah.
Back when houses in Old Town were 388 with pools.
Wild.
Dude, 406 and you get them for like 380.
If you could do that right now, I would go buy 100.
Bro, we would go by every house. We go knocking on every door too and be like, we'll give you 400 right ahead.
Sure.
But if only we could all have time machines, right? But
my gosh.
Dude, it was crazy. But as soon as I got those houses fired up, I learned that was a special niche. He was already thinking bigger because this client of mine, he owned like 25 properties in Charlotte when he found me, I think on Bigger Pockets, or he found me somewhere and he's like, George, I want to obtain multiple single family homes, no HOA. And I remember being like, buying, the little Sunscape, like the little condos, being like, homes. I was like, I always thought that those would be parties. In my mind, I had all the wrong thoughts. I'm like, I don't want to deal with parties. I want the little groups. And then when we got those and we saw that most of it's just like, if me and you and 4 or 5 other guys, me, you, Sean, Dylan, a few other guys wanted to go travel somewhere and go stay at a house for a golf trip, and I do now. I guess people always ask about cameras. I like Ring doorbells. I can monitor who's coming in and out. We disclose it in the listings. Really, dude, most of the time, and we're not stalking these. We're just kind of checking the monitor every now and then to make sure there's not parties. Dude, it's just 6 dudes with their with their clubs coming in, and it's crazy. Like most of the time, they're out during the day. They come back. They're asleep by night. You get some of the rowdier groups during like Super Bowl week. You're gonna have some. Philadelphia fans in here that maybe they're not so happy that night they lose, but dude, they're not putting out cigarettes on your couches, hopefully. For the most part, they're respectful. They leave it. You might get a email from the maids saying it was left a little extra dirty. Okay, go ahead and charge me that $50 for that additional deep clean.
What's the hardest thing about owning multiple Airbnbs or just Airbnbs in general? Like what's the most difficult thing that maybe people don't think about?
Great question. I guess it's kind of, you can automate 95% of it, but you still kind of have to be alert for some of the things out of it. You can't explain to someone in their 60s when that message goes out, gives them the code and everything, they might not know how to use a Schlage Smart Lock or a Quick Set, or when they get there, they'll, sometimes you can't automate some of those things, or whereas we even got it down to where we audit our battery levels on those locks so they don't die anymore. We have a handyman that goes out from everything from like filters, fire alarms, to now the batteries in those, where we thought we had that. You can't explain everyone how to use things that they don't understand, or TV, like little things like when the maids go there, they do it, everything's clean, but they don't check the remotes and the TVs. TV might be in the wrong input. If we have like Xbox there, they can't figure out how to change that input mode. And now they're blowing you up or your property manager up over something so minor at like 10 o'clock at night. That's kind of, granted, these are things that don't happen all the time, but these are things just to prepare for. And then you just got to have, I like to recommend, especially because a lot of my clients, like my good friend, Chad as an example, he's bought 2 Airbnb homes in the past that have both almost doubled in value. He's now buying his third, which is this, it's right next to the Optima, the rental one. Dude, he's going to be his first like redevelopment play to be a luxury short-term rental. He's actually, shout out Chad, a real push into me why I want to get this next luxury, get one. He like for his system has always been kind of take draws with the partners. I like to keep 6 months of your mortgage payment in that account. They're big on draws when he partners up. Me and my partners, we like to keep keep it built up. We're not as big on draws because we want to make sure that AC unit goes out. Be prepared. Things like the CapEx.
Because otherwise, then you've got to go ahead and you've got to actually, do a cash. You got to put money back into the company, right, from your personal account.
We were just going through, and the reason I'm saying him because I know he'll appreciate the mention, but B, we were just going over his financials for his accounts, how they take the draws. They kind of like to keep a little bit less, and I was kind of recommending him but then they'll just deposit back in because they got multiple accounts.
They're cool, yeah.
But I really think people, especially if they partner up or if they're on their own, try and keep 3 to 6 months reserves at all time. You want to make sure you have enough cash in there. It is Arizona. Those HVACs get a lot of use. There could be, water heater that goes out. There could be this. We've had this crazy rain lately, and we have gotten some roof leaks. They just need to be prepared for things like that. And I think some people are good. Some people just want to take that cash out immediately. I think build your reserves. Keep 3 to 6 months in reserves. I would say it's another one.
I love that. Phenomenal stuff. Just huge value, by the way, for people. I mean, if I was watching this and I wanted to get into Airbnb, I'd be like, oh my God, do you recommend if let's just say somebody's watching, they're listening, they want to get in, they want to get started, should they hire a management company? Okay. Or should they try to manage it themselves?
Great question, dude. I actually encourage, for being a principal in a management company, I always encourage people to try it out themselves. Dude, there are so many ways to automate it. You need to, if let's say you're in, this is a common one, Seattle, Washington. One of my clients just bought a property in February. Amazing couple. They live in Seattle. They actually called on my buddy's listing, and he just was like, go with George. He's the dude. We found them this awesome, an open door property.
Oh my gosh,
dude! It's these open door properties.
Dude, we made a lot of money on off open door and OfferPad.
Hell yes, dude. Hell yes.
Back when the market was shifting a little bit, we would global every open door property like 200 grand below where they bought it at, and dude, like 10 or 20% of them, they'd take them.
They strike. I know, man. And so I kind of gave them. I like to help my clients get the playbook, but like little things, smart Nest thermostats to Schlage. I'm a big product of Schlage, the Schlage on code. That's my smart lock of choice. To Ring doorbell, helps monitor who's coming in and out. All the ways to smart these out. If you have someone, a spouse, or if you're like a busy e-banker, maybe, or a doctor, maybe that's when it's worth paying the 15 to 25%.
You literally just you're in a surgery. You can't check if somebody's blowing you up. The TV's in the wrong input. And you're doing open heart surgery.
Open heart surgery.
It ain't gonna work.
Maybe that's when you hire the professional property management. But if you can find a way to save that, it's going to help your profits, your cash on cash, but also you're going to learn a lot from it.
Yeah, I agree.
We always talk about this too with my girlfriend about this because she learned so much from this. Like if you have a spouse, I think I see a lot of couples that do great. Hubby's out doing a sales job or whatever. If she's more of a stay-at-home, or even if she part-time or has her own business or whatever, it's awesome. You can you can dedicate couple hours a week to messaging people. We can all find time. This kind of goes back to like me when I would make this excuse when I was working so hard about not making it to the gym. And I'm a big, now I'm trying to get structured more in that sense. You can dedicate a couple hours to messaging people back.
You can, yep.
And you can even set hours too on it. Like if you go to bed early, you could set it up to even have like a virtual step in when you're asleep. That's another way to do it. There's a lot of different ways, or you could get like there's these different automation things that you could have to really help you on that. I mean, I generally don't recommend those until you have more than 2 properties.
Yeah.
But everyone has a different style.
I love that.
Of how they want it. But
can you still, in your opinion, buy an Airbnb in 2023 with the interest rates where they're at?
Okay.
And make and the numbers still work?
Yes.
Do you think?
And this is what I'm big on liking to be a practice of what I preach. That let's just use an example. That Maya that I just bought, that little 1-bedroom, you can cash flows. I think self-managing, you could still cash flow. And I locked in a 6.5. I think I paid 1 point to get it down. And rates had just dipped, but they just got raised again yesterday. But you can still make them work. I think if you're getting hard money on it at first, no. But I know you probably will plan to refi out, hopefully within 6 to 12. You know, you don't want to eat that payment too much longer. But yes, you can. You just need to be more selective. I don't care where the market is. I'm always going to be looking for some type of a value add opportunity. Turnkey might be a little bit harder if you're, as we know right now with pricing, anything that's priced well is moving. If these agents that are yes men to their clients decide that they want to list that property 100 over, we all know that thing's going to sit and sit and sit in price reduction. And so really it's all about where you get that property, making sure that you're getting that at a good to fair buy.
How would you recommend somebody acquire a property in 2023? Obviously, there's a lot of different ways to probably acquire one, but do you recommend they go and get DSCR 25% down, or do you recommend they raise the capital? Do you recommend they go partner with somebody? Like, how do they get that first deal?
That is such a great question, and you really can't go wrong anyway. I think if it's a newbie, I would probably look for. It just depends on their situation. I love how the whole talk about like buying a multi-unit play and then renting out the doors, something where you could utilize as little cash as possible, but utilize your network. I mean, if you've got a wealthy friend or family member or someone that could lend you it, or you could work a private loan. I mean, if you have a great 9 to 5, as me and you know how hard it was our first few years for the income standpoint, but if you have that ability to use that, dude, get a loan, conventional loan, get the best rate you can. If it's something that you could raise a couple friends together and get it, promissory notes it out, work something out and work out private money, go that route. I mean, there's so many different ways you could do it. I think I got to the point where me personally, I like to just utilize, now that I've got the income to show and stuff, just 20%. I'm a big on, once I outline it out, okay, well, how much cash am I gonna have to invest in this? What's the purchase price? What are my closing costs? What's my annual cash on cash? Pro forming it out and being like a 20% down conventional guy. However, the beginning, as some are familiar, some aren't, I partnered up on all of them, dude. My first, and I've sold and deployed and gotten bigger or better properties. I've sold 6 properties of mine that I owned, and those were all partnered up, except for one in the last 2 years. And I ended up using that capital to either buy like the Phoenix house or move on to other things. I still have some capital ready for the luxury or the next one, our property. But I really think that it's very circumstantial. What is your situation? But there's no excuse. I got the first one with $5,000 to my name. And I'm talking about that's what I was worth at the time. And then not even in the bank account. I think like $2,000 in my bank account. And I found a buddy who I pitched to everyone I knew. Parents said no. Family members said no. Other friends said no. An acquaintance friend of mine scratched his head and said, come meet me for a beer. And I explained to him the model I had done with my primary. I was like, brother, I found this value add in Old Town for $156,000. We ended up selling it for $356 in 2021. But this is the first guy I partnered with. And I was like, dude, but this is the problem. It had to be cash or hard money. And I was like, he managed to scrounge up the money. And we didn't even need to. We could have, the only reason we had to go that way is that we both couldn't get financing at the time. It could, we could have been creative with it, but he scrounged together. I think it was a HELOC. We got it. Then we ended up refining it later. But we got it and ended up grossing, I think, around $34,000 year one. And that was a partnered up one. And that was kind of my beginning for my catalog. Dude, there's no shame in partnering. And I know big fish that still partner on properties. It's less risk for everyone.
For sure.
But if that's your foot in, no harm. If you can get the financing on your own, great. If you need to get private financing, go for it, but make sure to have an out on it.
Yeah, for sure. What are you typically looking for in a deal? Like, is there different types of locations that, like, does it matter with an Airbnb with short term? Like, I know with, like if I'm buying a primary, right? Like I don't want power lines. I don't want to be on a major road. I don't want to back a commercial building, right?
Totally.
Like, with short term, how much does all that apply?
Location is very important. So strategic locations. I love corner lots if we're doing single family homes. I'm always kind of analyzing things of like one less neighbor. Like if you have like a kind of like less busy pass through street there, like even if it's like a Granite Reef Drive or ones that necessarily you really want to try and find ways to make it so that, for me, the biggest thing is location, always finding desirable. So I like to be 3 to 5 miles if I can from the entertainment district in Old Town or like Kierland. From where we are now, this is A+ location. I'd like to be 15 to 20 minutes from here.
Okay.
I'd like to be, or if you're gonna go try out, I know a guy, forget what his name is, but Nick something that's doing Gilbert.
Okay.
He's a Gilbert guy.
Nick Palladino?
Yeah. He used to be a model.
I had him on the pod.
Oh, yeah. I think I saw the reel of it. Yeah.
He's partners with, where like in one of his ventures, him and Ricky work together.
That's right,
Ricky Gutierrez.
Yes, Ricky's a baller.
He's got a Chandler or Gilbert one that's crushing
it. He actually, dude, give him a shout out. I've had Gilbert on the map for a long time. I almost bought one actually last year, late 2022. Him talking about it, and I think I came across him on TikTok, actually. That's where I saw him. He really got me kind of fired up a little bit at Gilbert. I've always loved Old Town Gilbert, though. I love what they've done with it, the growth. I thought it might be a little bit too out there, but it sounds like he's doing really well.
Yep.
So location is very important. Then it's kind of about do not buy a house that backs up to a busy street. You're gonna get bad reviews.
People will review you bad.
Yes.
Wow.
One of those houses, back to that guy I mentioned that was the first single family guy, one of the first ones we bought backed up to Indian school.
Okay.
And the house, we did a great job with it. 1 out of 5 or 6 reviews would mention that noise.
Wow.
It's still gone on to do okay. He self-manages them now, but dude.
But if you get too many bad reviews, then you can't become a super host,
correct.
Right?
They could revoke your super host. So every quarter we're getting evaluated as host to our state. So you and then you get that. Congrats, you're super host again. You're like, yes, all right, awesome.
Yeah.
You could get that removed. I believe if you go under like a 4.8, if you get dinged too many times. I mean, right now I think I'm a 4.89, 4.9. You got to understand when you're getting like 20 or 30 a week, you're going to get some, but you really need to stay. It's considered really good for anything over a 4.8. But I think if you go below 4.7, 4.75, they can revoke it. They kind of give you it. But yeah, dude, if you're getting 3-star, 2-star reviews, dude, they'll yank that.
Yeah,
they'll yank that from you. So location's very important, strategically kind of in relation to homes. Condos, you can't really prevent where you are, but it is nice like that. When I bought it, for example, it's a 4th floor unit, like the one's above me, is killer camelback views. There's an elevator there to be, help out with people that don't want to take the stairs. Certain things, you want to look out for things like that. Like where I bought in one of the first complexes I own at where there's stairs, there's no elevator. We've gotten that feedback before.
Yeah, for sure.
We hate walking up 3 flights of stairs with groceries and things. And I've learned that. I'm like, all right, well, maybe I should have put that into consideration for future investments. But it is important. I like personally to find something, like I said, if I can get like corner lots or bigger lots that don't back up to busy locations, bigger yards, certain things where we can come in and work that, put that giant chest set back there, something to make you stick out. Those are the things I'm looking for. That are very, very important in the long run.
I love that. What's something you can do to an Airbnb, like the giant chest set or the wallpaper? Like people do the accent walls, dude, and they freaking crush it, right?
Totally.
Mini golf. Like, what would you recommend? What's like a cool thing that you've seen work really well in pictures and just like people dig it?
One of my houses, I have a bocce ball court, and dude, it was only $2,000 for my contractor to build. We get so much love from that, and it's just a skinny little, like if you've ever seen a bocce ball, it's like a skinny little slither of turf with like little things around it, and we have like 3 sets of bocce balls in the closet. Everything, dude, kids love it, family loves it. We get so much feedback on that. I know if you have a big enough lot, and this is for like the bigger ones. Sports courts do very well. Like I have a sports court in my backyard at my primary, and I built out my dream home when I bought it. And so I have the plug on that. I mean, you might think it'd be a lot more, but you can get one for like 20 to 30,000. And that might be like, whoa, but when you're in these luxury homes, dude, those are going to crush. Yeah. People love that. They really want to have entertainment in the backyard. If you want to go small, $100 Jenga set. Make sure to have cornholes. People get annoyed when they show up. And especially if you, big thing here, lesson I'm going to teach everyone to save them. If you list it in your listing,
gotta be there.
It's gotta be there, man. Or you better be ready to drive there. Handyman or maid drive there. Assistant or property manager drive there. Or they, especially when we're in our peak season, October's through April, May. People are paying a lot of money to come out here per night. You need to make sure it's there. Hell, I'll drive bags of ice there at 9 p.m. if I can't get a hold of one of my handyman to do it if they need it. And I mean, those are just things you want to make sure you offer that service to be competitive. Yeah. Because the reviews are everything.
Reviews are everything. And if people start leaving you bad reviews, then that is going to hinder you. You're toast.
You're toast. You pull what one of my friends has done 3 times now. He snoozes the listing and creates a new one.
Yeah.
And I'm like, bro, why don't you just focus on doing the right thing?
Yeah.
I'm like, you have all these listings, you're gonna get confused. So
I love that. What's one of the craziest things that has ever happened to one of your Airbnbs? Like maybe a party, or I don't know, just a complaint, like just something off the wall.
Okay. I think the story's pretty funny about the one of the parties that we had in the beginning of. Okay, you remember those wannabe, was it Forex traders or whatever, groups that were a big thing where they were setting this kind of like almost like. And shout out, like, no harm. Remember Vima?
I
was a part.
I was a part of that.
Dude, okay, I tried it and I failed. I'll admit, I tried, but I paid my. It was like that version.
I got the Mercedes.
Oh shit!
Yeah.
Congrats, man.
Yeah, bro. It said Vima right on the side.
Dude, and shout out to Alex Morton. Dude's just killing it live. But it was kind of like this group of these young kids basically that did some type of where they round up all these local high school kids and kids that were. Like kind of promised them this dream that they're going to be successful, decided to book one of my houses when we still did this is back in the 2-night minimum days. And they showed up and just immediately started partying. So we actually ended up having to, call the cops on them. As soon as the cops came and broke it up, dude, they started throwing a party again. And they were partying at like 4 a.m. I remember waking up and having to deal with this. So they promised us, he kept like being like, oh yeah, boss, I'm sorry, we won't do it tomorrow. For some reason, it didn't get back to Airbnb yet, so this hadn't canceled. The second day, they were good during the day, started again at night. That day, I was smart and started doing some research. I forget I found some local security company. I got them to go there, pull the plug, get them out. I think we ended up having to pay the security company like $500, get them out of the house. And then we had to change the code on them, call Airbnb on them, cancel it. But these guys were just, dude, they found, I think, 52 empty handles of vodka in the garage.
Wow.
They were partying. They were partying, man. I mean, there was so much smoke pouring out of that house. It looked like a Cheech and Chong video. But nothing was damaged, luckily, dude. It was like one of those deep clean. But, dude, I learned from that point on, and I remember when this dude had reached out to me, I had a bad feeling about it. We accepted it because we were like, all right, it should be okay. Dude, when he's like, this might be a lesson learned. When someone says younger individual, they're in town for business, you might just want to ask what.
Yeah, for real.
So that was kind of one of those lessons learned. We've had some other, crazy things, like, more or less when people expect the worst, it's kind of more our maids hate their life that day. Additional deep cleans, couple punched holes in the wall type thing that could be drywalled back. Nothing too crazy, but another story that was kind of funny I'll touch on, well, not really funny for us, but I guess one of our, and this is back to that whole, one of our guests had gotten so drunk that in that guest group, they went and tried to open the next door neighbor's house. Gosh. Thank God it was a harmless mistake and they went back and got in. But dude, that was a tough one where luckily the guest was a younger individual who owned it, but he was like, dude, someone tried to come in from my ring and send us the video of it. Right. And the dude was just like, obviously at the wrong house. Like, this isn't my Airbnb. Went over, but like, those are the types of things that, we don't want happening.
Yeah, for sure.
So
can a neighbor, I've seen, there's been like a house. I can't remember what my buddy did the turf in the backyard.
Okay.
And the neighbors did like the freaking hotel signs. in
Oh,
the front.
homes, not hotels.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
dude,
dude,
those used to be those used to start popping up a
yeah,
lot.
they made it rough on this guy. Like, he ended up selling the Airbnb.
Oh, really?
Right? Yeah, because
the neighbors were rough?
The neighbors were that bad, right? Have you ever had any run-in like with the neighbor? You said you had good luck with them.
We've
right?
had good luck. I have one client, good friend of mine, Jason, who owns 3 houses. He self-manages those. His biggest problem was that one of his neighbors directed to like hated Airbnbs. And yes, she used to like message him every night, crazy stuff on Airbnb. She would inquire as a guest and message him all this crazy stuff about what I'm going to do to you. I'm turning you into the city, this and that. Where finally, when he came into town, and I remember being like, go over, meet her, give her your cell phone number, talk to her, shake her hand. He went over and did this, and that helped a lot. But she used to like be like messaging him all this crazy stuff. I guess there were a few bachelorette parties that got a little out of hand. And I think when it put like a sign out front, that's what really set her off. But for me, the biggest problem I used to have was the trash. And how we mastered this, Can Monkey. Shout out Can Monkey. That might be a great one to have the CEO on for.
On the pod.
Yeah, dude, he's awesome.
Can Monkey.
Can Monkey. So what they do is it's this company, it's like $50 or $80 a month. Every week they come and they take the trash out or recycling out to the curb. So the problem is when you ask guests, and I'm one of those hosts, I don't like to ask my guests to do anything. Yeah, sometimes you see like a long list of things.
Yeah.
That kills the vibe, man. That's what the cleaning fee's for, and we're not supposed to be doing that. So one of my automated messages that goes out before people check out, there's one that comes before they come, one in the middle to see how they're doing, and then I'll follow up one with the checkout. We are like, for checkout tomorrow, nothing is needed. Please just lock up and we hope you had an amazing stay. My maids will handle everything.
Yep.
You don't need to strip beds, put towels in bathtubs, none of that. Where am I going with this? Sorry, I just had
the trash, the can
Sorry,
company.
Thank you. I just lost my train of thought.
No, you're good.
Can Monkey helped out with the problem that we used to have, which was when we'd ask guests to take the trash out to the curb on Tuesday night, whatever. Dude, they're not going to do that. Half the time they're going to forget. Trash will overload. Neighbors don't like looking and seeing trash, cans filled to the top with flies flying around it in these Scottsdale homes. So that was one of my biggest problems in the beginning. We found Can Monkey. I automated and put them on all my homes. We've never had an issue. Or the ones that have the big community black ones in the back alleyway. That helps the maids will automatically go dump that back.
So they take out the trash can to the out to the
Every
street.
week. Every week.
Then and then after the trash guy comes, they take and put it back.
Yes.
Wow. And
for-
what do they charge?
It's either, I guess it depends on how many cans you have, but I think it starts at $50 a month. I think I'm the $80 a month one. Okay. Every week they'll do one recycling and one trash can for that, but then it jumps up into whatever tier you have.
Wow.
But dude, they are lifesavers. And granted, every company makes mistakes. There's been a couple times it's been missed. You can call them and then they'll go and they'll make it right.
Yep.
So that was a huge success for my automations of problems that we used to have in the beginning. Because trash will come up.
Oh, yeah.
I have a couple of clients that wanted to cut corners on paying that, and very quickly they learned, hire them or you need to be hiring someone to do it.
Wow, that's so interesting. I made a TikTok on Pooper Scooper, the company that they come in and they clean up your dog poop, right?
Yes.
And because I had a house, I was going to turn it into an Airbnb, but it was in Phoenix. It didn't have a pool. I didn't think it would do well. I ended up selling it, but
okay.
I lived there for a while because I was remodeling it, anyways.
Yeah.
And they would come and they would clean up the dog poop. The video got like 2 million views on my TikTok.
Oh, nice.
Just the stupidest thing in the world. But I was talking about how this lady, she and I'm sure there's a bunch of companies out there, but she's making freaking $500,000 a year.
Amazing.
Cleaning up poop.
Amazing.
Which is ridiculous. So I can't even imagine what these trash can companies are making. They're probably doing everybody's Airbnb in the whole.
They are. I'm pretty sure they are. I mean, or once they get it's out. And I mean, do they also do? There are some people that are too lazy. They don't want to do it themselves. I'm sure they have some residential customers as well. I mean, it's a brilliant idea. And from my understanding, I don't know if their plan is to. I think their plan is to expand out of Arizona. I think they're in other markets now. But dude, incredible idea.
Phenomenal. Yeah.
And so. They help our system. Trash was one of the biggest problems with the single family homes. And then the other might be pools. Our weather is unpredictable. I have one of the most amazing pool guys. He's really, really adapted to the high demand of needing to go back for some people that, when we get a monsoon or when we get a little rain, which we've been getting a lot of. Sometimes there's debris and stuff that can get in there. He'll go when I need him because all my properties are within a 15, 20-minute drive from where he lives. But that's another one with pool heater. There's a lot of different things that kind of branch off that. But really, dude, I'm just so glad I got the trash thing down.
Yeah.
And then I have a really good junk removal companies that I use too. If excessive trash is there, sometimes there's too much. And if the maids can't take it and we don't have a community dumpster, it's got to get hauled away.
Yep.
We'll get that there.
We'll do all that. Yeah. I love that, dude. Talk to me about getting into the luxury Airbnb game. Like, what do you think will be different about that?
Sure.
And, you know, I've seen a lot of people do it nationwide even.
Yes.
Like, I got invited to go do, they wanted me to go do a talk at a mastermind.
Okay.
In, I think, Colorado, Aspen maybe. And big freaking just mega Airbnb. I'm talking like gangster. I'll have to show it to you after. Like one of the dopest houses I've ever seen for sure, right?
Yeah.
And I don't know, it was like $5,000 a night or maybe even more, you know. And it got me thinking in that moment. I'm like, man, like there might be a lot of money in that game.
Totally, dude. So all the dudes that I know, dudes and gals, let me specify that, all the short-term rental people that have ventured into the luxury market. So there's one of two ways you're going to have to do it. And actually, I'll be honest, I've been eyeing turnkey, trying to lowball has been my thought right now. But everyone I've known for the most part has bought. But then you come in and then you put that sports court in the backyard or whatever. I want to do like a backyard deck out. But without going back to that $200,000 we were talking about earlier, I want to be like being able to figure out like in that 50 to 60 threshold of really murdering it on a backyard with making it super, super appealing. Because that is one of the most, like, you're going to get the most views and looks on Airbnb based upon your first picture. The logarithms and everything. You want to have, I always encourage a really awesome backyard. If it's a house.
Yep.
Showing off your pool. People want pools. You get 35% more bookings with pools than homes that don't. You need to have, like, that really awesome first picture. But for luxury homes, I really think that you need to have A, the space, B, the amount of bathrooms and bedrooms. I want to have at least a 5-bedroom, probably 4.5 bath. It's got to be desirable areas. Unfortunately, I'm just never going to touch Paradise Valley or Arcadia.
I was just going to ask you.
Okay, so back on this, the first luxury property that I helped out with was my mom's friend had this beautiful home in Paradise Valley. It was a $2.8 million house. This is back in 2019. Dude, I kind of just like helped her with it, you know? And so it was the neighbors in Paradise Valley that killed that deal. She ended up going to sell it. And she didn't use me as a realtor, which killed me. But that house it was averaging about $1,200 to $1,500 a night, getting $3,000 a night for the Phoenix Open. But then it had backed up to this neighbor that called the cops every time. And so Paradise Valley, they're very strict. I'd even be careful in Arcadia because there's a lot of families there. I think you really need to kind of venture more into Kierland, where we are now, North Scottsdale. One of my clients who just crushing it, like I was saying earlier, is kind of finding these older ranch type homes on an acre, and then coming in and just putting probably, 100, 150 into it, remodeling it, refreshing it, 30, 40-ish. They probably spend more like 40, 50-ish on the furniture, but and really kind of offering that private resort type luxury feel, but kind of being all in on it for like around like 1.5. And I mean, and then dude, I think they're on track to gross like 150 to 175 a year on those, which is pretty good. Pretty darn good. It will probably end up, coming down to, depending on how you do your debt services, your mortgage and everything, probably somewhere around like an 18% annual cash on cash. Not too shabby.
Not bad at all.
Because we both know they're going to get the appreciation. So
phenomenal location. 85254 probably.
85254, maybe 85260 on some. I just, for me, I kind of like that model, but I'm also liking some of these new construction, and in particular, these newer 2-story homes they're building in Old Town, kind of near the Art District, that are sitting on the market right now. But the problem with them, they're beautiful homes with camelback views a mile from the entertainment district. They don't have the big backyards, the big lots. So my trade-off right now is, do we go with one of those that's walking distance with a heated pool, has the beautiful space inside, new home, or do we go with the older home that we add the value to with the big backyard that we add the sports court, the giant, those are the two right now for me personally that I'm kind of debating between.
Yeah, for sure. I know a guy that I'll have to tell you, I'll have to show you after the show, but he, I think he owns like 12 or 15, all in 85254, I think.
Okay.
And he's got one, dude, and I have the link to it somewhere, but he, I want to say, bro, they're grossing like $900,000 a year.
Wow.
On one Airbnb.
Wow.
And it's ridiculous.
That's
dude.
insane.
Like this property is on another level.
Yeah.
They do like big yoga retreats.
Oh,
and
that's
they
cool.
do like, they've
That's
got
cool.
it's friggin'. But in all reality, it's an older home.
Yeah.
I mean, from an Airbnb perspective, it's dope, right? But like I met him there one time,
Okay.
this was a year ago probably. And I mean, don't get me wrong, they did just an incredible job, but like I wouldn't live there as a primary.
Sure.
Sure.
Totally.
Like, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah. And it's funny how many times you might find that too with some Airbnbs. And that's why we do what's known as, I kind of call them, I like for clients and or myself or anyone, I like to walk every property every single month if I can, just to know everything that's going on. Because sometimes maids can't come back to you with everything. But also I like if clients own them to kind of come out and see them quarterly as well. We need to make sure everyone, if you own it, you'd stay there yourself. And for me, I'd stay there myself. I think the bigger things really is more the wear and tear on things. But some houses are just quirky or weird, and you're like, dude, I couldn't live in that anyway. But I guess I haven't gotten yet to the point where like some of those $3, $4, $5, $7, $9 million homes, which would obviously be the dream one day.
Yep. Really quick, if you're a real estate agent in the state of Arizona and you're looking to join a phenomenal team, then I would love to have a conversation with you. If you're looking for an incredible culture, you're looking for lead generation, you're looking for transaction coordination, then I would love to have a conversation and see if you would be a great fit for our team, okay? So again, if you're an agent in the state of Arizona, make sure you text the number 480-418-5339, the word agent, okay? Again, 480-418-5339, the word agent. Now let's go ahead and get back to the show.
For me, I really would like the realistic play of jumping into that next one be something under $2 million.
Yeah.
And something that I feel much more confident jumping in, either partnering up with with you or someone, or going solo and using maybe my capital and getting like a HELOC, one of my HELOCs. But I like the idea of something, putting like a huge, like 25, 30% down so we can get a little bit better of a rate, and then coming with, either pumping it in for the value add or turnkey and let's deck out that backyard, but let's find something that's bigger.
Yeah, for sure. I love that. No, I think the luxury market's a really cool market. It's a different demographic,
Yes,
though, right? I mean,
it is totally.
Who is the demographic there?
So back to that Paradise Valley home, we got a lot of like football players, like a lot of more some families, some of the similar things that you get on the homes, but I think people that are kind of more, they're staying at houses that are more like their primaries kind of things. The one thing that I noticed a lot of too for those as well, we did get the ones that did the most havoc on that Paradise Valley were the bachelor parties. I think if I was to do one, I'd be a little bit more stern on that. But really, it was back to the same thing. It was really more or less an extra deep cleaning type situations. People smoking in the house, which they can get $500 fine for. Now Airbnb is becoming more like favorable for hosts on that problem, because that's a big one that's hard to prove when you're going back to do a claim on it. If someone smokes, if it's marijuana, it's a lot easier to get out. But if it's cigarettes, you are screwed.
Yeah.
OZM, there's a lot of different practice things that you have to try and use to get it out. But I've had a claim before in the past for one where they want pictures of evidence. How do you prove someone smoked? So it's their word against yours. Which you'd be surprised sometimes how they're usually favorable for hosts, but sometimes the guests can finesse their way out of it.
For sure.
So the demographic could be anyone and everyone. I prefer it to kind of be more like traveling corporate for people that are in town for business. Some execs maybe staying there or their family staying there. Golf trips. I love golf trips. Yeah. Or family trips with kids. Families coming in town while their kids go to Arizona State, or what's it, Grand Canyon University?
Yeah, GCU.
GCU.
Yeah, I always
you,
forget about that. Yeah,
me too. You know, and that's kind of like last time I had driven around that area, all those houses they're developing over there.
Dude,
those are great for those students. And
100%. What do you think about Airbnb arbitrage? Everybody's talking about that right now, you know, like.
Yes. So I've never personally been an arbitrage guy, but I have nothing against it. If that is the way that you can do it, especially if you know, I see these, some of these TikTok guys and stuff that are doing it. And like, I think really if you have a formula for that with like calling landlords, finding them approval, or if you have plugs in any of these like Mark Taylor type, any of these bigger multifamily properties that are willing to give you a chance, dude, if you want to do it, by all means, go for it.
Yeah.
It just never met my code. I had someone come with me once with 12 rentals. They're like, do you want these, George? And I said, nope, I don't.
Yeah.
And I go, I really appreciate it. It just didn't meet my code. Never. I've always wanted to really be a part of the blossoming of the property from the start to finish, man. And I mean, and I love that even if someone wants to do their own thing, I'm always like, dude, it's kind of like young Jedi. I've taught you the ways. Best of luck. It's always a very amicable transition out. Arbitrage, man. I've always had fears. Like, I don't like building these pages, which become a part of your brand, part of your catalog, for the thought of the landlord maybe not renewing you. I know some of them, they'll try and target like 3 or longer year leases, but I just don't like the idea of being in someone else's space.
No, I'm with you, bro. I think that actually, like, look, to your point, right? If it's somebody's only way to get in, or they like, you know, then great, right? Good for you. You know, for some reason that you feel like you can do that and make some dough, great, right? Yeah. But the fact that I don't control the real estate, right? Like for me, bro, I want to control the real estate, man. Like I'm like, dude, I want to be able to touch my real estate. I want to be able to smell my real estate. I want to be able to freaking look at my I want to taste it, bro. I want to lick. I want to go up to my property and lick it. You know,
dude. I wish there was a mic. What is it called? Mic
drop.
Mic drop. That's it. You just nailed it, and that's exactly what has been the formula of my success always. And if it's not me owning it, I want it to be one of my clients or friends, or I want them to own it because I want them to really get those tax advantages, the appreciation. All right, even in this pullback, what do you call it, 10, 15% in Phoenix we've seen since the peak, maybe some areas a little bit closer to 18 to 20%. We all know those properties are going to come back, and they're going to come back strong. Even when we kind of eventually flatline to healthy appreciation, let's say we can even manage to just maintain 6% a year. That is still always going to be going up over time. I mean, we look back at properties 30, 40, 50, 100 years. Dude, we look back at Phoenix even, which we're not like, we look back in Los Angeles, you see how properties sold for 300 that now sell for 5 million. But look in Phoenix, properties that sold for 30,000 that now sell for over $1 million, you know, or 500,000 or whatever it is. You look at that historically in any state, in any market, it always wins. And back to what we were talking about earlier. And so that's always been in my head. I'm like, let's own it.
Let's own the asset, bro.
Let's own it.
We got to control it, man.
Yeah.
I want to shift gears for a minute because I know we've been here for like an hour, 20, hour 30. And I want to talk about how do you manage it all? You know, like we got to go to the personal side for just a couple minutes. You know, like, you know, you control 32 Airbnbs right now currently, right?
Correct.
You're also an agent.
Yep.
You also help other people get into the industry. You're you know, you could call that being a coach or a mentor, kind of an investment guide to these other guys or gals that want to get in, right?
Yes.
And you've got clients, and you've got a fiance now,
girlfriends.
Okay.
Yeah, or you know, with her listening to this when she listens to it, soon to be fiance.
I love it. But we can't talk about the details of that, obviously. But dude, you know, so obviously, right? Like I'm an entrepreneur. You know, I run multiple different companies. We've got 75 people who work here, give or take. And half the time I don't even know how I get how I pull it off. I have an incredible team.
Yes.
Right. So for me, I could not do anything without my team. Right.
Totally.
Like I'm at a point almost where I'm like an actor. Like, just tell me what to say, where to stand, where do I show up? Like, I don't do anything. It's just like, tell me where to go, right?
Totally.
So how do you do it? Like, how do you manage it all? I see you got the ring. We were talking about that. So you're working on the sleep game, right?
Yes, dude. It's all time management. And my biggest investment that I told myself for 2023 was into myself, my health. I have sleep apnea, and I've suffered from that for 10 years. I finally got my CPAP. This was a Sleep Institute of Scottsdale told me I was one of the most severe, one of the highest scores of sleep apnea, which is bad. And so I was like, all right, dude, you're gonna invest in your health. I want to get fit again. I know I'll never have, the 22-year-old George Mev body again. And when I was back in my fraternity days, but I want to at least get healthy and feel really good again. And I know that's time management and getting better. Like, I have a home gym, so I have no excuses.
Yeah.
I've been working on better that and kind of a little bit more balance. I set up a lot of these systems too, so I can try and start to have more time. But I'm also heavily invested in the real estate sales side. I love my career. I couldn't imagine doing anything else.
Yeah.
I really found my calling. So I try and, I do try and make time. Like, we all need to try and have more, right now I'm trying to be better about making more date nights, or if I can, for the time I get with the fellas, once a month we go golfing or something, trying to be a little bit better at balance. And I know you definitely, with all you have and all, it's got to be really hard to manage that. And I think that's where a lot of people, entrepreneurs struggle. And I have really struggled with it. And what we were talking about earlier about I put a lot on myself of, you're not doing enough, which it makes it really hard when you're your own biggest critic to kind of really just woosah, take a breath back and relax and really know what you've accomplished. But where you have such an advantage on me, I'm so proud of you. I really dicked around a lot in my 20s, especially my early 20s, and I really regret that. Until 26 was in that rat race of making 40,000, 40 to 50,000 a year, mindset, 8 to 5, and just going out to Old Town, chasing the bottles and all the wrong things.
Yeah.
It took me a long time to really grow out of that. And it really took a healthy relationship and going all in on myself to really help me grow. And I do think that having I've learned a lot from being a bachelor to now having a partner that's there for you, how much I think healthy relationships with a girlfriend, fiance, can really help a man grow and really help them in their career as well. I don't have time for any bullshit.
Right.
So it's really down to just really staying, kind of staying to my principles and my businesses and really my morals. I really just like to try and grow every day. So kind of chopped up way of saying that, I'm really trying to just help myself be at ease a little bit more and really focus on my health.
Is it just seasons of life? I've never been able to figure out, I'll go a few months and I'll be freaking shredded, right?
Yeah.
But I'll be not doing good spiritually, or I'll go a few months or a year spiritually. I'm shredded. Yeah. Spiritually, right?
Yep.
But then maybe a different area of my life I'm falling short. I've never been able to quite figure out how to get every area dialed in at the same time, right? And I always come back to the conclusion that it's just seasons of life.
Sure.
Right?
Totally.
And you just have to do the best you can in the season that you're in.
Absolutely, man. And I'm I'm the type too that likes to put my faith in God, and I also just like to kind of put myself in that thought that it's all going to work out. I find that a lot of people, entrepreneurs too, we have ups and downs. We have a lot of trials and tribulations within ourselves. I think we all really need to take a step back and just realize that every day waking up is a privilege.
Yeah.
Walking is a privilege. I hurt my ankle not that long ago, dude. I learned a couple days on crutches. I was like, dude, no amount of, if I lost the ability to walk on this foot, no amount of money, I would trade it. To be able to walk every day, man, we take so many things for granted. And I think the whole, I want to have $100 million mindset is super awesome for growth and everything. But we also sometimes need to take a step back and just be thankful for all that we have. And that's I think sometimes my biggest problem is kind of dwelling on the fact that my mind is always going, 0 to 100, and you need to just kind of live in the moment, not always be focused on what's next. And that's very hard for us.
Very, very difficult, bro.
As you know.
I don't think I have it figured out yet. You know,
Yeah.
I think
You're already knocking down walls and taking the space.
I'm still working on it, bro. I don't know. You know, I'm trying to figure it out. Yeah,
Totally.
But you know, and like you said, you evolve over time, right? And who knows? Hopefully, in a decade from now, I've got it more figured out than I do right now.
Totally,
Hopefully,
man.
you do too, right?
Totally, man.
Yeah.
And that's all that we can really hope for. And in the meantime, we just keep plugging away.
Just keep plugging away, bro. Where do you see yourself in 5 or 10 years? Like, is it
so? And you know what? It's something that when we had talked last time, I had touched on this that I really hope to get into, and really. I want to grow into having some multifamily. I want to grow into becoming a little bit more hands-off in some of these systems of the rental properties and grow more as an agent. That's one of my goals. Another goal is to kind of hopefully be, married with kids from a personal standpoint. And I'd also love to get a little bit more in the, I'm not like a big speaker guy or anything, but I would like for select things to be able to help out others continue to grow, but whether it be short-term rental or investment properties and as a whole, I'd love to kind of help be kind of one of the faces of that from a national level. I mean, it'd be cool. Like I by no means ever expect to be one of those traveling guys getting paid for speaker gigs, which would be cool, but I'd love to help people out more, maybe if it's more Zoom calls, stuff like that too. I want to help other markets in it too, because I feel like my playbook could be beneficial for a lot of people starting in, Fort Lauderdale or Austin, Texas.
Nashville, bro.
Yeah, or Nashville, exactly. So kind of figuring out that side of things has been on my list too.
Yeah, what do you think about other markets for Airbnb? Like, do you know enough?
Yes. And you know what? There are some areas that I've been doing research on that I really like. Like, you'll find these random ones like Gulf Shores, Alabama, that crush it. Pacific, Panama City, Florida is another really hot one. Is it Pigeon Toe, Tennessee?
I think.
All these different areas where you'll find these properties that you'll hear the numbers and you'll be like, "What? Like a $550,000 house can gross $100,000? Okay, well, let me see those numbers." Is it these? So I like some of these markets. I just don't know enough about him yet to jump in. I think my biggest chance, I almost pulled the trigger on a, sorry, I always get it confused. Is it Disney World or Disneyland that's in Orlando?
World.
World, okay. So there's this, I think it's called Champion Gate, this really awesome area right outside with all these 2015 built single family homes that have all these resort style. They're all just for short-term rentals. I almost bought an awesome themed out, like a Star Wars themed room, all these 5-bedroom, 4.5 bath house with heated pool. Wow. I almost pulled the trigger. I do have like a guy out there in Florida looking for me right now. And so I just decided last minute to hold off on it because I thought that market might be getting a little saturated. I kind of just like used my own data and AirDNA and a couple things. And I was like, you know what? Let's hold off on it for now. Yep. I think Florida might pull back a little bit, especially Miami's gotten so hot. Really needs to deflate a little bit. But though I was just there and dude, I love Miami, man.
Oh, dude, yeah. And I love even like Fort Lauderdale.
Yes.
Right?
Yes. And the numbers on some of the deals I've seen there, dude, they're just incredible. I haven't seen like one house that doesn't, that's on the like water or like close that doesn't gross like 250 or 280 and they'll be like listed at like 1.5 and you're like, I just sometimes think, man, I just don't know. I'm a real practice what you preach. I'd hate to buy in on something on a false narrative and then have been sold the dream. I'd rather kind of work my way into that market. And I think I might even test something smaller first. Like that Orlando house. That was like a $650,000 buy. I'm not scared of that at all. But I really would like one of those luxury homes there, man. Because that'd be fun to stay at,
Yeah.
But
I'd love that, bro. I'd love to build a team. We do a lot of wholesale deals in Florida.
Yes.
But I'd love to do more retail in Florida.
Yes.
Dude,
that'd be awesome.
And then I think if we did more retail there, then I'd have a reason to go there more.
Totally.
And if I had a reason to go there more, then I would want to do like Airbnb.
Totally.
There,
So that way y'all could stay there or your team could stay there. What, if you don't mind me asking a question to you.
No, not at all.
I'd love to kind of switch gears just a little. What markets do you like? And what have you analyzed?
Yeah.
We're
I don't have any Airbnb, right?
Okay.
Which I'm not, I'm not proud of that. I just, I haven't acquired enough property, right? Like
Okay.
I own a handful of long-term properties. Which is a mistake. Like looking back at it, like I should have. My first mentor, Cody,
Yes.
he told me, man, it must have been, I don't know, 2015, 16, something like that, right?
Right.
He's like, Austin, don't go do thousands of deals,
Right.
and not acquire any, right?
Yeah.
And that's exactly what I did. I did exactly what he told me not to do, right? And so, and it was a mistake that he had made at the time, right? He's like, he was, I don't know, 40 at the time, and he didn't own a bunch of property, right? But he had done freaking 10,000, or whatever, right?
So many deals, yeah.
Yeah. And probably more than that. And so I'd love to do that more all over the nation, but I'd love to do a lot of it right here in my own backyard.
Yeah, for sure.
We wholesale nationwide right now. So we do a lot in Florida. We do a lot in Atlanta. Indianapolis is a big one.
Okay.
Birmingham, Alabama. We flip deals there every day. We'll get them for like $7,500 and sell them, 2 hours later for $12,500 or whatever,
That's incredible.
So we do a lot there, a lot in obviously Arizona, a little bit in California. Believe it or not, we've done like 3 or 4 deals in the last like couple weeks in Chicago, which I'm actually
Really?
not a big fan of.
Yeah.
The laws, the rules and regulations there are very difficult.
Okay.
To wholesale, they hate wholesaling is basically illegal there.
Right.
And for some reason, my team started to do some there, and I kind of told my team, I'm like, hey, we should probably not do that.
Right.
But our team's gotten so big now, I don't always know every little detail in
Yeah.
the moment, right?
That's
so that's been a little bit interesting. But yeah, dude, I think anywhere really that has a lot of buyer activity,
Okay.
you're pretty good, right?
Totally.
So we're always looking at buyer activity, right?
Sure.
How many flip properties are happening, right?
Yeah.
How many rentals, like how many landlords are buying?
Okay.
And
And you get systems to kind of get that data and everything.
Mhm.
Yeah.
It's easy data to get. I mean, at the end of the day, like even if somebody's watching and they like just ask your title company,
Sure.
right,
Yeah.
or your attorney, like just
Totally.
hey, pull me. I want to know in this zip code how many cash transactions happen in the last 180 days or
Yeah.
whatever, right? Or maybe they bought in an LLC,
Yeah.
right. And you can tell you look at the data, like you'll start to look at it and say, okay, if you're in North Dakota. Right, it's
Yeah.
probably not like I'm not going to wholesale in North Dakota, right,
Totally,
or
right.
South Dakota, or
Right.
Maine. Or Rhode Island. Like there are markets where you would think it would be common sense. Like, hey, probably not the best market in the world, right?
How's Texas on wholesaling?
Texas is good. It's a non-disclosure state,
Okay.
right? So as you know,
Yes.
a little bit difficult to figure out like property data.
Okay.
When you're virtually looking at a market, right?
You never can
So-
see what the property sells for.
Yep.
And that's kind of interesting on that.
Yeah, non-disclosure states are a little bit interesting. 100% doable though.
Okay.
There's just different methodologies
Yeah.
and different ways you got to figure out how to get data. Like you can't just go on Zillow and get all the same data that maybe you would be able to in a state like Arizona.
Okay. Interesting. Yeah, because
Yep.
I've always been so fascinated by wholesaling. It's just kind of like one of those like avenues I've never understood or never had like a mentor like you or been kind of in it. I've understood the gist of it. I've just never really had a chance to be a part of it. But it's always been one of those avenues I know you could, if you do it right, you could crush,
bro.
AKA you're a product of that.
Well, we've been doing it for a long time. And
Right.
on one hand, like everybody's got their thing that they get into real estate doing,
Sure.
right? So
Sure.
like, I happen to get really good at wholesaling,
Yeah.
right? And I happen to get really good at building a retail division and a retail
Right.
team, right? Where I lack right now is owning property. Like I got to own more property, right?
Sure, yeah.
And that's going into 2023, 2024 and beyond. Huge goal of mine, right?
Totally.
To acquire, like I want 1,000 doors,
Totally.
right, or more.
Yeah.
And so it's just a give and a take. It's like, okay, I can only build one thing at a time.
Right.
For me, I built the companies, and now like I envy you, and so it's just like
Right, right.
we're always looking. The grass is all
I know.
It
It truly is, dude. And I mean, that's so good thing is though that, dude, you've got the economies of scale. You've got all the right people in your corner. You got the ability. And I think the good thing right now too is you can take advantage of this interesting market we're in. It's such a strange market.
Yeah.
It's like everyone asks me every day as you two, what is going on with the market? But we know that there's always buys out there. As you guys are buying so many deals, and we can even partner up on some of those wholesale deals and kind of figure out which of these do we want to have the crew come in and turn these into, the next Scott's on the Rock, which is one of my most famous Airbnbs that is booked out right now until July 4th weekend.
Wow.
And those are the types of properties, not the ones like my Phoenix one that are booked until April 15th.
Yeah.
But like the ones that are going to continue being machine mode, you know?
Well, and we'll have to talk more about that. You know, we get, I mean, at any given time, we have 75 deals and
Incredible, man.
I mean, like we have a lot, we look at a lot of off market property, right? Yeah, we'll definitely have to talk more about that
dude.
for sure.
Absolutely.
Yeah. What final words do you have? You know, if one question I always like to ask is like, you know, do you have any mantra? Like, do you have a quote that you live by, a mantra that you live by? Like, what would you tell the world if you had to give them a piece of advice?
I always leave it at my favorite, and I'm not even a big hockey guy. It's Wayne Gretzky. You miss 100% of the shots that you don't take.
Man.
And I take that to heart on everything. I mean, if you don't try, and this is even with a property yesterday we lowballed for one of my clients. It was my first, my first big luxury deal, my first $3 to $4 million buyer. We put a 3.5 in on a 4.2, and the listing agent told us to go, you know what, ourselves? Hey, we tried. It's been on the market 226 days, 3 price drops. Dude, the seller bought it for, I know this is irrelevant. The seller bought it for 2010 for 1.7. They're still making almost $2 million. Sometimes sellers get motivated. Still an offer.
Yep.
You always got to throw that out there. I don't necessarily sometimes like the low ball, but we have to.
You
it's
have
our fiduciary duty, even for ourselves as investors. Go buy that property. Go try that business. Go partner up. Start an Etsy thing. All these different opportunities now. If you want to be a social media TikTok star, go do it. Whatever you want to do, go find it. Don't take criticism to heart. I sometimes take criticism too much to heart, and I think I've learned now that you just block it. You always, we're human. You know, we got a trial and error, and you're never going to have it overnight. If you're going to go into real estate, be ready to roll with the punches, but also know that it's the longevity you're looking for. So that's kind of my biggest thing too. I think everybody wants to go into real estate thinking that they're going to get that deal immediately, that they're going to be making 6 figures immediately, or that they're going to become a millionaire overnight. It's not the case. It's always the more calculated, slow longevity kind of, buy and hold mentality that I wish more people kind of, what is this? Is that called Gen X? More of these Gen X people would kind of just realize that, you're not going to have it overnight. And I think I learned that right when I got cut in from leaving college. I thought I was this hot shot. I learned how fast I was a nobody when I was 22 years old, making $40,000 a year, paying my own bills. How fast it is for a reality check of this is a dog-eat-dog world.
Yeah.
You better be ready to hustle.
For real, bro. Phenomenal advice.
Yeah. So
phenomenal.
And I want everyone to take that too more from just from one person, just letting you know that, for my own trials and tribulations, mistakes and everything, there's a lot of things in the past I passed on that I regret now, or I wish that, I wish I would have went into residential earlier, because my heart all those years wasn't where I was, and I wasn't making any money because I felt stuck. And I don't want people to be stuck. We're in a whole different world now, so
why be stuck?
Why be stuck when you can, at least you're gonna fail, but eventually you're going to hit one lick and it's going to change your life.
Dude, I love that. That was the mic drop, by the way. Not the one that I did earlier. Yeah.
They both were.
I love it, dude. Well, I really appreciate you being on the show.
Absolutely,
Round
brother.
2, dude. I think we just, you, not even we, you dropped 10 times more value than you did on the first one. And I haven't listened to the first one in a while.
Yeah.
What did you think after listening to the first one last night and then what we just did right now? Which one was better?
I think this one was much better because I think, we both have changed in all the good ways. And there's been a lot of, even for myself, just developing a lot as a person. And I hear that me, and I mean, that me, I think it was 18 months ago or almost 2 years ago. There's just so much that has changed for the better. And I also just feel a lot more confidence now in the future. Even when that market, one could say we were in probably a much more favorable market. I mean, granted, everything was flying off the shelves. There were more buyers, but it was harder to get things under contract. I still look now at more of a blessing in the long term because, dude, you can't take back the knowledge we learn. Every day we learn something new in real estate, and I'm just excited for the future. what it entails.
Dude, I love it, bro. I love it. And we'll have you on in 24 months from right now.
Sounds
good.
good.
Dude, we'll be in a new set, okay?
Okay.
And
Yep,
it'll be way bigger.
You're going to be in 10,200 square feet.
Yeah.
I
Well,
know
maybe by that time it'll be bigger, but
Yeah.
20,000, yeah.
Totally.
30,000, dude. I'm thinking big, bro.
Bro, I love it. Brother, I love the energy, man. It gets me fired up, seriously.
I love it, bro. Well, hey, I really appreciate you taking the time. I know you're a busy guy, and I appreciate you being here, brother.
Thanks for your time as well, brother.
Thank you. And where can people find you? George Mevawala on IG?
Yeah, IG, it's at Mev City, so MEVCITY, and then TikTok, I'm at the Airbnb Realtor.
The Airbnb Realtor.
Yes.
Dang. Are you crushing the TikTok game right now?
You know what, dude? I'm getting a little bit better. I'm learning it now.
Yeah,
you know,
yeah.
it's such a different animal, but I'm learning how to do it. And I mean, I did just have a reel that got 12,000, or what is it called? TikTok that got 12,000 views, and I'm kind of learning now how to do it. But dude, I love how many people living in their mom's basement that love to comment with no profile picture.
I'll tell you.
Think they know Scottsdale, but dude, it's all fun. I love it. I love reading the comments with my girlfriend, just laughing.
Dude, I don't even I can't even read all the comments anymore. Like I love I don't read the bad ones. I just read the good ones, dude. It's as if the bad ones aren't even there.
Dude,
you know?
I love it. I get comical. I get humor out of it because everyone thinks they know everything. That's the one thing I learned about TikTok from the difference of Instagram, which is a little bit more, I think, professional based in my opinion. But dude, we got to adapt. And I think that this TikTok thing it is cool though to see some of the creative different ways people are getting on there with content, and especially the shift into the shorter clips.
100%. I went from 100 to 0 on TikTok. Now, TikTok, it was a platform I was crushing it on, and now
Dude, you have like a million, was it views or followers?
Views.
Okay.
Likes. I've got like 1.5 million likes, but I don't know. We'll see. We'll see the future of TikTok.
Yeah.
I'm not confident that TikTok will be here in a year from now.
Dude, it very well might not be. And I mean, it's just kind of one of those things that I think for me, I kind of like from the more agent perspective, I like to make the little videos of houses I tour and stuff.
I love that, dude. Yeah, you'll go viral. See, they don't, China they don't promote my crap. They just promote the crap in their country, the math and all the English or the Chinese, and, you know.
Yep.
And then in America, I gotta get up there and like do a dance or something,
dude,
you know.
Or it's just these chicks and like shaking and stuff. I mean, I don't know, man. That's pretty much the stuff that goes viral, and I'm like, well, you ain't never gonna see me doing that.
Maybe you should do it. I'll have to start dancing and giving them like entrepreneur advice at the same time, you know,
like doing one of those things where you like point and it's like rate. Investment.
Man, dude, I appreciate you, bro. Thank you for being on. I'm going to put all your information down below too so people can go check it out.
Thank you so much, bro.
Absolutely. Hey, if you're still watching on YouTube, do me a huge favor, subscribe if you have not already. Drop a comment down below. Let me know what you think. Make sure you reach out to George, and I really appreciate you watching. If you're listening, then it would mean the absolute world to me if you would leave a 5-star review. Thank you so much again, and we'll see you in the next one.